Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining the conference call today. We are now starting the CMIC Holdings Financial Results Presentation Meeting. Today, we have CEO Kazuo Nakamura, COO Keiko Ueshi, and CFO Wataru Mochizuki with us. First of all, CFO Mochizuki will speak about an overview of financial results, and then CEO Nakamura will present developments about our business, followed by a Q&A session. We are scheduled to end at 12 o'clock after the Q&A session. The video recording of this call will be posted later on CMIC's IR webpage and be available to view on demand. Now, our CFO Wataru Mochizuki will explain an overview of financial results. Hello, I am Mochizuki, and I will be giving an overview of financial results for the fiscal year ended September 30, 2021. This table shows our business segments and corresponding group companies as of the end of September 2021. CMIC Group consists of 25 companies in total, which includes CMIC Holdings, that is a holding company, 24 consolidated subsidiaries including 13 from overseas. As of October 1, 2021, CMIC CMO and CMIC CMO Nishine were merged, with CMIC CMO as the surviving company. On the same day, Homo Corporation Limited was established that develops and runs a healthcare communication channel platform. We are also re-evaluating our business segments in this new fiscal year. Here are main initiatives of the current term. In a fiscal year ending September 30, 2021, CMIC Group proceeded with the focus activities in a midterm plan, which are the acceleration of our PVC model, the promotion of globalization, and the creation of healthcare business, in order to achieve sustainable growth and increase our corporate values in a drastically changing medical and pharmaceutical industry. Regarding the creation of healthcare business in particular, as part of our Healthcare Revolution project, we are creating new businesses that will contribute to maintaining and improving personal health, and developing our talents in the healthcare arena, partly for the purpose of responding to COVID-19 infection. Regarding our main business activities in a fiscal year ended September 2021, first of all, with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have made contributions in a variety of areas such as development, manufacturing, testing, and vaccination support. With regard to the creation of business that contributes to maintaining personal health, we are actively participating in alliances and projects with local governments, medical institutions, and other industries, including medical MOS. For the acceleration and streamlining of drug and medical device development, we are proposing to our clients to utilize new technologies such as digital technologies, including Homo, and the introduction of continuous production equipment. In our IPM solution, which is a unique business solution, combining value chains and marketing authorization licenses, and others, possessed by CMIC Group, to orphan drugs, involved by our group company Orphan Pacific Incorporated, received a manufacturing and marketing approval in January and an NHA price listing in April this year. We have launched Orladeyo capsules on April 21 and Linsped trademark intravenous infusion 1000 mg on July 27. For the organizational and human resources elements, in order to respond to business environment changes in a more agile way, we implemented changes of executive management in April, including the repeal of the executive officer system. In addition, we have introduced and launched the Healthcare Professional Certification System, with the aim of developing groups' talents in the healthcare arena. Our certified healthcare professionals worked effectively in the vaccination support services for local governments. Furthermore, we acquired the International Standards Certification (ISMS) to strengthen information security. We also engaged in societal challenges, including contribution to the increased production of medical supplies in a COVID-19 pandemic, support for Travel Clinic Service for Japanese Immigrants in Southern Brazil, by Dr. Emilio Hideyuki Moriguchi, a doctor of Japanese descent in Brazil, and the receipt of highest, Iraboshi, certification for women's participation and advancement in a workplace. This is an overview of consolidated income statement. Sales in this fiscal term were 85,788 million yen, which was up 12.7% year-on-year by 9,690 million yen. Operating income was 4,920 million yen, which was up 88.8% year-on-year by 2,315 million yen. Ordinary income was 5,091 million yen, which was up 77.6% year-on-year by 2,224 million yen. Profit attributable to owners of parent was 2,023 million yen, which was up 34.4% year-on-year by 517 million yen. For non-operating income and expenses and extraordinary income and losses, we recorded 399 million yen of foreign exchange gains and subsidy income, and others for non-operating income, and 228 million yen of interest expenses, and others for non-operating expenses. Furthermore, we recorded 714 million yen of gain on sale of investment securities, gain on forgiveness of debts and other, for extraordinary income, 2,331 million yen of an impairment loss on a fixed assets in a CDMO business and others for extraordinary losses, 2,397 million yen of total income taxes, and 946 million yen as net loss attributable to non-controlling interests. As a result, profit attributable to owners of parent for the fiscal year was 2,023 million yen. This table shows sales and operating income by segment. Sales and operating income both greatly exceeded the previous year, mainly thanks to the growth of healthcare business. Sales exceeded the previous year in all business units. Both orders received and order backlog exceeded the previous year in all segments. Orders received increased by 19.1% from the previous consolidated fiscal year. Order backlog increased by 10.2% from the previous consolidated fiscal year. This shows the trends in consolidated sales and operating income. We achieved an increase in both sales and operating income compared with the previous consolidated fiscal year, and operating margin was 5.7%. This shows the trends in CRO sales and operating income. For the clinical services and CRO business, we are proposing new clinical trial models, including the streamlining of clinical trial process by using Homo registered, and working to improve the expertise and technical capabilities of our talents for the non-clinical services. Our laboratories in Japan and the United States are in collaboration to provide drug discovery support for advanced medicine, including nucleic acid drugs and regenerative medicines. Sales exceeded the previous consolidated fiscal year thanks to the growth of non-clinical business and acquisition of new post-marketing and clinical operations projects related to COVID-19. Operating income was below the previous consolidated fiscal year due to factors such as a temporary increase in retirement benefit costs. CRO sales were 34,954 million yen, operating income was 4,364 million yen, and operating margin was 12.5%. This is about CDMO business. We are focusing on a large-scale commercial production project that is scheduled to start production in a fiscal year ending September 30, 2022, the launch of new facility and production line in the United States, and hence the acquisition of new projects. CDMO sales were above the previous consolidated fiscal year due to an increase in contracted production volume. As for operating income, while operating loss was recorded due to prior investment costs for the contract manufacturing business of biopharmaceutical APIs due to the increase in sales, degree of deficit decreased compared to the previous consolidated fiscal year. CDMO sales were 21,196 million yen, and operating loss was 153 million yen. This is about CSO business. Sales and operating income exceeded the previous consolidated fiscal year, thanks to the acquisition of new MR dispatch service projects. CSO sales were 8,977 million yen, operating income was 890 million yen, and operating margin was 9.9%. This is about healthcare business. Sales were significantly above the previous consolidated fiscal year, due to growth in BPO and personnel services for vaccination support and SMO operations. Operating income was also significantly above the previous consolidated fiscal year due to an increase in sales, despite prior investments for the creation of healthcare business. Healthcare sales were 17,876 million yen, operating income was 3,590 million yen, and operating margin was 20.1%. This shows the trends in IPM sales and operating income. In this fiscal year, we are selling orphan drugs, including products developed in-house, while strengthening the IPM business foundation by supporting foreign companies entering the Japanese market, and proposing strategic options through the provision of IPM platform. In this term, we obtained an approval of Orladeyo capsules and Linspad, and launched them in Japan. Sales exceeded the previous consolidated fiscal year thanks to new product launch. Operating income, on the other hand, went below the previous fiscal year due to increase of orphan drug R&D cost and temporary recording of inventory valuation loss. IPM sales were 3,683 million yen and operating loss was 19 million yen. Here, I'd like to explain our consolidated balance sheet. Total assets at the end of the fiscal year increased by 1,674 million yen compared with the end of the previous fiscal year to 91,192 million yen. This is due mainly to an increase in notes and accounts receivable, trade, and a decrease in cash and deposits. Meanwhile, total tangible and intangible fixed assets investment in a fiscal year was 6,960 million yen, depreciation was 5,160 million yen, and amortization of goodwill was 21 million yen. Total liabilities increased by 1,200 million yen compared with the end of the previous fiscal year to 56,700 million yen. This is due mainly to an increase in income taxes payable, long-term debt, and others, and a decrease in short-term borrowings, commercial paper, and others. Total net assets increased by 474 million yen to 34,485 million yen. This is due mainly to an increase in retained earnings. Cash flow from operating activities in this fiscal year was 9,804 million yen in revenue. This was mainly due to an increase in cash flow due to profit before income taxes and depreciation. Cash flow from investing activities was 6,685 million yen in expenditure. This was mainly due to the acquisition of tangible non-current assets mainly for CDMO business. Cash flow from financing activities was 6,348 million yen in expenditure. This was mainly due to repayment of loans from financial institutions and expenditure from payment for dividends. As a result, cash and cash equivalents as of the end of September 2021 was 9,379 million yen. Next I will explain the full year earnings forecast for fiscal year ending September 2022. Our fiscal year ending September 2022 performance forecast for sales is expected to be 88,000 million yen. Operating income is expected to be 4,000 million yen. Ordinary income is expected to be 3,850 million yen, and profit attributable to owners of parent is expected to be 2,050 million yen. Earnings per share is expected to be 113 yen and 32 cents. Since the beginning of the fiscal year ending September 2022, CMIC will adopt the Accounting Standard for Revenue Recognition, ASBJ Statement Number 29, March 31, 2020. The Consolidated Performance Forecast, or the figures after the said accounting standards, have been applied, and the growth rate against the previous fiscal year is included for your reference only. Next, Dr. Nakamura, our Representative Director, Chairman and CEO, will explain about our business development. I am Nakamura, CEO of CMIC. I'd like to talk about our midterm business plan and the business environment. First of all, we'd like to review our previous midterm plan for the period from 2019 to 2021, in which we achieved the sales of 85.7 billion yen against the plan of 85.5 billion yen, but undershot with the operating income of 4.9 billion yen against the target of 6.8 billion yen, which means that the achievement ratio was 72.4%. The first reasons for not achieving the operating income target is that we struggled because our CRO business, a business with high profit margin, suffered from a decline in income caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The other reason is the delay in the start of full-scale commercial production at the new injectable facility in the CDMO business. For these two reasons, we were unable to secure our target operating profit. Here, I'd like to explain our basic policy in formulating the midterm plan of this time. In the past, we developed our strategy as a pharmaceutical value creator, or PVC, a company that contributes to the maximization of the values of pharmaceutical companies. Then later on, we started to try changing our approach to healthcare, from treating diseases to respecting the individual's health values, and consider how the healthcare would look from this perspective. As a result, based on a PVC model, we have developed and promote a business strategy called Personal Health Value Creator, a business model that maximizes the individual's health values. Our business segments include CRO, CDMO, and Market Solutions, that is the business that supports medical, sales and marketing elements of pharmaceuticals, and the development, manufacturing and sales, and distribution of orphan drugs, and these three business segments are for the traditional value chain of pharmaceutical companies. In addition, we have positioned the SMO as Site Support Solutions, a business that provides comprehensive support to healthcare, related facilities and healthcare professionals, and we will continue to develop this business. For Healthcare Revolution, we look at and consider healthcare as individuals living their one and only lives according to their own will. Specifically, we are promoting this business as a business that provides solutions to individuals and local governments utilizing a new healthcare ecosystem, with the use of communication channel Homo in the midst of the trend toward digitalization. This is our business strategy. We have set financial targets for FY2025, with the sales of 100 billion yen, the operating income of 7 billion yen, and the operating margin of 7%. Here, I'd like to speak about the business environment and our response. The global COVID-19 pandemic has transformed all businesses and all societies. The COVID-19 infection started out in China in December 2019, and the first case was reported in Japan in January 2020. I personally felt that something extraordinary had occurred and that the pandemic that happened 100 years ago had returned. To my surprise, advances in science led to the development of vaccines even in the midst of infection spreading. As the infection was spreading quickly around the world due to the movement of people between countries, vaccination began. In addition, variants caused the infection to spread again. In the midst of all this, vaccines were developed worldwide. and vaccination began simultaneously around the world as a big project. In Japan, the start of vaccination was delayed for a while due to delays in approvals and various procedures, but now those vaccinated with 2 doses account for over 70% of the total population, making Japan a vaccination-advanced country. On the other hand, in Europe, the necessity of a third vaccination dose is becoming a reality, as another peak of infection is coming after people were vaccinated with 2 doses. In Japan too, another spread of infection is predicted to occur, and I think we will need to be vaccinated with a third dose after all. Under these circumstances, assuming that vaccination would become a national project, we have been quickly taking related actions as part of our healthcare revolution. The COVID-19 vaccination has changed the healthcare actors and players, as well as the value chain and supply chain of pharmaceutical companies. In the past, Japanese pharmaceutical companies used to supply drugs through the conventional supply chain within Japan, or conduct conventional clinical trials, obtain approval followed by a drug price decision, and deliver the drug to patients. However, such a flow and process has changed. As you are aware, the traditional supply chain has been changed now to the one where the government negotiates with a pharmaceutical company to secure vaccines and distributes them to local governments and companies for vaccination. We have been working with local governments to determine what the future of healthcare should be. We have also supported local governments in their COVID-19 vaccination work. We concluded a comprehensive partnership with 7 municipalities in Mount Yota foothills in Hokkaido where there is a world-class resort, as well as with Yamanashi Prefecture, to support their vaccination operations. 35 municipalities are contracted, and 20 municipalities have introduced our Homo vaccine care with Corona. In a Tokyo metropolitan area, we provided a wide range of services, including PCR testing work and vaccination support in Setagaya Ward, Oda Ward, and others. As one of our digitalization efforts, we have been able to make great achievements in supporting local governments with our Homo vaccine care with Corona, which can check vaccination intervals and vaccine types and manage lot numbers, is adopted by municipalities because it is a secure data management system that separates personal information from vaccination information. Characterized by its ability to follow up on those vaccinated based on accurate information, our Homo vaccine care with Corona has been introduced in 20 municipalities, checking vaccination intervals and vaccine types, and has prevented 32 vaccination-related medical accidents. Currently, the system manages the vaccination information of 1.5 million people. Also, in terms of following up with the vaccinated, we were able to immediately send out information to them on the same day that the MHLW announced that the vaccine was contaminated with a foreign substance. As you can see, Homo vaccine care with Corona is very useful in vaccination operations, with which we were able to provide necessary support for communities. Through the large-scale project of vaccination, we felt the need to train healthcare professionals. Accordingly, we established an internal training and certification system that trains our 8,000 employees to have sufficient healthcare knowledge and to be able to organize and produce healthcare-related projects. COVID-19 vaccines have changed the picture of our stakeholders. Unlike the usual process of developing a new drug, the government initiated negotiations with Pfizer and Moderna even when their COVID-19 vaccines were not yet approved, which means that they have changed the traditional value chain. Through the negotiation, the quantity of the vaccine was fixed, after which the government gave MA approval and distributed doses to medical institutions and local governments. Now, local governments and residents have come into the picture of stakeholders, meaning that the scope of stakeholders has expanded. There have been various impacts on society due to the pandemic. The biggest challenge now is how we can get economic activities back on track. For individual companies, the supply chain has become an issue, with raw materials being unavailable. With that, reforming the traditional system is required while getting economic activities back on track. On the other hand, the pandemic has caused people to suffer from mental health issues, while engendering social issues and related concerns. I think it is safe to say that the environmental changes brought about by the pandemic, which include changes in personal lifestyle and value, economic and corporate environments, and the way we work, are the biggest crisis in human history. The world is confronting this crisis now. I believe that the world is confronting this crisis, and at the same time, being asked how we can get economic activities back on track through the measures taken by each country and move toward the sustainable society to come. Here, let me share how CMIC has been developing our healthcare revolution and in which direction it will be going. In 2015, we established the CMIC's Creed, which focuses on what we can do for the idea that all people, regardless of age, gender, or race, live their one and only lives according to their own will, shifting from the perspective of treating illnesses. By defining that all people live their one and only life according to their own will as personal health value, we established the concept, personal health value creators, which means that CMIC is a group of professionals who can contribute to the new era's healthcare, or personalized healthcare. The conventional healthcare has been centered on a supply side, while we have been thinking about what we can do from the perspective of individuals, health values, or that all people live their one and only life according to their own will, or well-being if you will, rather than more about longevity. So, we have been considering what we can do from this perspective, as well as what we can do with local governments and residents. As a result, we have been promoting partnerships with local communities, and the use of DX as a communication channel, such as using Homo for electronic prescription records service and Ikigai purpose in life passbooks. As for CMIC's history in healthcare, we have been concluding partnerships with local communities and research agreements with academia since 2018. In terms of self-care and how personalized healthcare should be, we started the cervical cancer screening service, while having succeeded the Homo business from Sony and further developed it as a healthcare communication channel. In the midst of the pandemic, we brought together what we have done so far, or our accumulated pharmaceutical expertise as a CRO, and supported vaccination operations with our Homo vaccine care with Corona. CMIC is the first CRO and SMO in Japan, and also the first to do the full-scale CDMO business. We have been aiming to become a professional group that can contribute to the evolutions of pharmaceutical companies as the pharmaceutical value creator, or PVC, by supporting the entire value chain around pharmaceuticals as a group that can do the same or more than pharmaceutical companies. On the other hand, what is important from now on is not only to treat diseases, but also to look at healthcare from the residents' side and the community's side. The pandemic has brought us closer to communities and their residents at once, and we are utilizing the Homo communication channel and ecosystems. This will bring about a major change in a value chain of pharmaceutical companies going forward, and I believe that it will have value in such a value chain. Our business model is not to stop being the conventional PVC and shift to the PHVC, but rather to evolve as the PHVC while further robustly positioning the PVC concept within a PHV concept. Let me introduce business cases here. 7 municipalities in the Mount Yodai foothills, where the world-famous Niseko area is located, having more foreign visitors than Japanese in winter, decided to introduce our smartphone app that allows the centralized management of vaccination information. We are trying to evolve the app to see if it can be used in other ways such as in nursing care. In addition, CMIC is playing a coordinating role in the use of Monet's medical laws, and we are conducting experiments to see if we can do diagnosis and treatment virtually while moving. So far, I have talked about the evolution of CMIC. Speaking of evolution, if we just look back, human evolution came out of Africa and spread around the world, ending up with Homo sapiens. There have been diverse human races, and some of the primitive people have disappeared. And now we are encountering a big question that asks why only Homo sapiens have survived and whether we will be able to continue to survive, including environmental issue aspects. As you are aware, what came out of Africa went to Europe and became Caucasian on one hand. On the other hand, in Asia, it started out with a gatherer economy, out of which the agricultural system emerged. Now under the current circumstances, we need to reach a situation where we can coexist with this virus while the whole world continue to confront the pandemic. In the meantime, we are facing a major environmental crisis now, which is a threat to the survival of Homo sapiens. With this, CMIC would like to transform ourselves under the pandemic situation and contribute to a sustainable society while keeping abreast of environmental changes. In a context of our healthcare revolution and PHVC concepts, we will do our business based on the ideas of ikigai, or purpose in life, and well-being, from the standpoints of personalized healthcare, and all people living their one and only lives according to their own will. This is the Earth as seen from space. The glowing parts are powered by electricity, and we are facing the question whether it is acceptable to generate such electricity from fossil fuels, whether it is sustainable. The emergence of pandemic has made us consider this question, while I have various considerations for healthcare, as well. For addressing and advancing these considerations as well as making pharmaceutical development active in Japan, CMIC would like to make the best contribution to these aspects. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.